What up, what up? Welcome on in to Inside Baylor Sports, the official daily podcast of Baylor Athletics. On today's show, we're talking Baylor Softball as the Bears advance to the Super Regionals for the seventh time in program history. What a weekend it was for Baylor Softball. We'll dive into all that coming up on the show. Don't forget, you can catch Inside Baylor Sports every weekday. You can also watch the video version for free over at BaylorPlus.com and on the Baylor Athletics YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, rate, and review the pod. And follow Baylor Plus today on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's the official content network of Baylor Athletics. Think Netflix for your Baylor Bears. Download the app on your mobile device and sign up for your free 7-day trial today at BaylorPlus.com. It's Monday, May 20th, 2024. Justin Hoff alongside the Baylor Bear insider Jerry Hill, making his way back from Louisiana. Appreciate you joining us. Looking good there in the car. You're not driving though, right?
I am not driving right now. Zach Smith is driving from the Waco trip, doing a great job. And I'm sure I look better in dark, right, than the light of day. I think I look good in this setting.
You're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. You look a lot better when you're in Louisiana than Texas. Let's just have you stay there. You guys turn around, right?
I'm actually in Texas, where we made it back to, just went through Beaumont and headed home.
Okay, well, we got to ask you about the bridge, but we'll do that in a little bit. Let's get to business, though. What a weekend it was for Baylor Softball. 7th Super Regional. I mean, this is big time to do this, to win the regional in there in Lafayette Regional. What'd you think? What'd you see there?
Yeah, it was incredible, Justin. I mean, really the whole weekend, when you start out with that Ole Miss game, and that was a great game. Emily Hott led off with a home run in that game, led off with a home run in this last game as well. What I thought was amazing, Justin, was the fact you get beat 13-0 in the first game, and now it's, winner take all, and you've just suffered a 13-0 beatdown, and they were able to let's just scratch it. We're moving on, and that's just a loss. It's incredible, Justin, because when you lose like that, I think it takes a lot of character, it takes a lot of grit to come back and win a game like that. After you've just been beaten down like that by Louisiana, you're playing on their home field. Now they're the home team again, or playing in the home team dugout. It was incredible to see this Baylor team just respond. Like I said, you're down, and even got down a couple times in this game, but they just kept fighting. They're down 2-1, they're down 3-2, and they just never gave in and came back, played a great game.
Here's Glenn Moore after the game. Looking forward to listening to this one.
What a war we had today with Louisiana. Nothing that caught me by surprise. Was happy we had the evening off last night, but I had no doubt they were going to come back and make a run for it. Didn't expect to be sucker punched the way we were in the first game. Can't say enough about our girls to be able to regain their composure and come out and put up a battle and give themselves a chance to win the second game that could have gone either way. I can't say enough for Riley Crandall. Just battling with one of the top offenses that we've seen this year, and going toe-to-toe with them, and letting our defense help her, but also just staying on top of it. So praise be to God for the opportunity and the stamina to come back and compete.
Well, Jerry, he's talking, Coach, there about just the ability, right? I mean, basically, I would describe it, that 13-0, that first game, getting your head kicked in. Okay, that was not pretty. And to put it behind you and to come out there, and we're talking about like 30 minutes between games. I mean, it's not much time between games, right?
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time to, there's no, win one for the Gipper messages or anything. It's just flip the switch, wash that one, let's go to the next one. And that's what they did. And here's the thing, Justin, I know Lafayette took the lead back in the bottom of the first inning, but I thought a big key to this game was Emily Hott leading off with a home run again. That really kind of said, hey, we put that other game behind us. We're going to be in this game, and this is what we're going to do. So I think that home run to lead off the game was big for Baylor.
Yeah, and Riley Crandall said as much afterwards. Here's the starting pitcher for the win.
And Emily hit that home run. I was like, oh yeah, yep, that's good for me. That's set the good vibes. That's her sign of having my back, and they continue to do that whenever I let up runs. And so it was awesome, especially her being a senior. Fired her up, and like she said, like no way this was going to be our last game. And so I think Emily proved that and really showed a message to the team.
Huge those home runs. I mean, just a different a game changer. And also over the weekend, it wasn't just Emily Hott. Others on the team hit some home runs. Sydney Collazos had some big defensive plays. Here's the catcher after the win.
Senior, even just the upperclassmen in general, we knew what kind of talent we had on this team, and we knew this wasn't going to be our last game, and that's kind of what we built off of. We knew it was going to be a game of momentum, and obviously they had the momentum going into that second game, and so we made sure to really establish the fact that we're going to grab that momentum early, celebrate the little things, and do whatever we can to keep the favor in our favor.
And did just that, Jerry. I mean, you think about this senior group and a couple of the individuals there. Aaliyah Benford also was huge throughout the weekend, made a big-time defensive play in Sunday's game 2. And just the ability. I mean, this is a team win. I mean, you don't win this in softball. Sometimes you can win with an ace pitcher that just goes out there. But this was a team effort for this group, Jerry, defensively, offensively, and in the circle.
Yeah, that's what this was, Justin. It was a team win. They could have gone away. Like I said, they came back from a couple of deficits. You're down 2-1. You're down 3-2 fairly late. I mean, going into the 5th inning, you're down 3-2, and you came back and you found a way. And you talk about defense. The play of the game was Taylor Strain's throw from center field, home plate. Collazos makes the block, tags her out at home plate. That was the play of the game for me. And it was huge. I mean, Glenn didn't even think. He said when he saw the ball hit out there, he didn't think there was any way they were going to get that runner. But I think Taylor and Sydney were both convinced, hey, we're going to get this. And Sydney was funny because she was like, I kept waiting for it. But it was about as perfect a throw. I mean, Taylor doesn't have a huge arm, but she put it right there on the money where it had to be. And Sydney was able to get the tag down, tag the runner out. What a huge play, kind of kept the momentum on Baylor's side. So, again, lots of defensive plays. You mentioned Aaliyah Benford making the great line drive catch. Taylor had some great catches out in center field. Emily Hott in left field also made some nice plays. Presley Pylon doing what she does. So, like you said, I think it was a great team effort. I put a lot on Riley Crandall for being able to, again, watch that first game, because she came in the first game and she gave up, I think it was 3 runs in 1 inning. So she was part of that 13-0 game. But she only threw, I think, 19, 20 pitches. So she was fresh. She was ready to go in that second game. And, man, like I said, she was just laser. They hit her. I mean, they had 9 hits, I believe. But she just kept working out of trouble, even in the last inning. Walks Alexa Langoliers, Shay's little sister, walks her with 2 outs. So the tying run is on base. The winning run is at the plate. And she just goes right back to work. And here's the crazy thing. When we talk about her letting her defense do the work, Justin, she didn't have a strikeout till the last inning. I think that was the second out. So, again, she let the defense do the work. But, man, when she had to, she really did the job and just, kind of jammed them a little bit, got a weak grounder for that last out. But, yeah, Riley, just amazing effort, actually beat them twice. So, great game for her. And I believe she beat them once before when they played here back in the regular season. So they actually won 4 of 6 against Louisiana for the year. So now they go to Florida for the Super Regional. Like you said, 7th time in a Super Regional. Great job by Glenn, by the coaching staff, by the players. I think this was the ultimate team win.
Love that there from Jerry Hill. He saw it in person, got to watch it. Of course, I was watching on ESPN Plus. Good to listen to Clay Matvick, who did a lot of Baylor men's basketball games back in the day. It was cool to see him out there. I know he's from Minnesota, and the temperature, it had to be hot there. How was it? Was it humid like you thought?
Oh my gosh, particularly this last day. And Justin, think back to this. When we came Thursday, and I mean, it's storms, it's 80-mile-per-hour winds. I'm fearful for my life, and about as bleak a forecast as you could find. Like, it looked like it was going to rain all day, Friday, Saturday, maybe have a little window on Sunday, and probably going to finish it up on Monday. And then it went from that to, okay, it's perfect. You know, every day was great. It rained a little bit, I guess, Friday night, but that was after the game. So amazing. But yeah, Sunday, it was hot. I felt like I was in the swamp, and man, it was a little warm. Zach and I, we sat outside in one of the outside, just a little table outside. But about the last, I think it was maybe into the second or third inning of that last game, we were like, nah, let's go inside. Now, we were in kind of a little bit of a Louisiana fans suite type thing, so we got to hear them cheering and stuff, but it was cool. So I will take that. I'll take a little Louisiana cheering as long as I can be in the cool.
And some dancing. I saw some dancing. They were doing that throughout. I know they all kinds of things. They get down with softball. They love the softball there. Of course, they love their Cajun food as well. They were raging Cajuns, and not going to be so raging on Monday though after the L on this weekend. So Baylor gets the last laugh on that one. But yeah, just really impressive to see all these things, and to go back. Glenn Moore had talked about it a little bit in the post-game press conference. We'll go ahead and play this one. But he talks about the strength of schedule and the ability that playing tough teams early on helped them get a win like they got on Sunday.
I would have been disappointed had this team not responded that way. We were at a point during the season where I was second-guessing my scheduling because we were being challenged so much. Again, I think I said it, we were 1-8 in Big 12 when we started. And if I knew I could convince them that was going to pay off one day, but you can't see days like today when you're going through that fire. I don't know that every team would have hung on as long as this one did, but they continue to work and they love each other as much as any team I've ever seen. They're goofy, they cut up, they have fun, they laugh a lot, and they're just a joy to coach. So it's very rewarding for me as a coach to get to see them rewarded because of that attitude and that effort that they put into the game.
And that's great to hear. And we've seen this with a few teams now. We've seen this, obviously, the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team. That's a team that loves to have a lot of fun, and it doesn't take themselves too seriously. And Baylor Softball as well, showing you, Jerry, you don't have to be, Bill Belichick, all business-like. You can have some fun. You can do some things and cut up, and that can translate to wins.
I don't know if you would have seen Aaliyah after the Grand Slam on that first night doing a little dance and stuff, but then even in the Sunday game, in the second game, when she made it to third base after she drove in the winning run, she's dancing over there on third base during kind of a break. So, yeah, this team does like to have fun. I mean, Sydney Collazo's, I think it starts there. She's one of the funnier players I've ever been around, and she does. She has a good time. She has fun, and that's what she's going to do. And I think there's a lot of players like that on this team. Now, there's some that are maybe a little more serious or whatever, but I think this is, and it's a team that Glenn loves. I mean, I think probably he likes or loves most of his teams, but I think he really enjoys this team. Obviously not his best team, but man, they're fun to be around. It's just fun. They enjoy playing the game, but they just enjoy life. I mean, you can tell that with a lot of these players that they just enjoy the moment, and they're going to enjoy the moment. That's what they do.
Yeah, they're young kids, young adults, I should say, that almost, 18 to 22, they're going to have a lot of fun, right? We remember what it was like to be in that age. You're vibrant, you're youthful, and you want to dance and kind of have some fun. It's great to to see the team, react and have this type of success. So he had mentioned, in that post-game clip, they start 1-8 in Big 12 play, 1-8. And, there was a time in the season that I know some of our fans, they were down in the dumps of Baylor softball. They were not, high on it. Hey, it's just a rough season. Let's just kind of put it behind us and forget about it. Remember, this was a team that many thought could be a top 10 team, could make the College World Series back in, January, February. And then a lot of injuries happened. Not everybody that was on the roster then is available now. But this team somehow, some way has kept it together. And that's really the key. They held it together. They got to this point. They're playing some of their best softball here in the last 2-3 weeks. And sure enough, they punched their ticket to the Super Regionals. I mean, it's really a remarkable story. I think there's a lot of teams throughout the country that could have just gave up, quite honestly, and kind of mailed it in. But this team kept digging. And sure enough, here they are, one of 16 teams to be playing softball at this time of the year.
That is exciting, Justin. And I think back even a little bit farther into the year, when I guess it was when they got swept by Texas. They're sitting there at 5-13 in conference play. And then they lose to UTA in a midweek game at home. And that's when Glenn started going, hey, ladies, we need to win this many games just to finish above 500 so we're, eligible for postseason play. Literally telling them, hey, this is how many games we have to win. We got to do this just to get enough, just to keep our head above water and finish over 500. No, they went out and swept 3 conference series, finished 14-13, moved up to 4th in the conference, and that was big. That's why they got as good a bracket, as good a seeding as they did, is because of the way they finished. Winning those 3 series, finishing 4th in the league. When you think about how good those first 3 teams are, and you finished 4th in that league, SEC can make the argument, and they had every team in there. But when you look at the top of the Big 12, that's a pretty darn good conference. So, what they did toward the end of the year, and then just getting to that point where you were at a regional and a favorable bracket. They were facing an Ole Miss team that was last in the SEC. And then you're facing a Louisiana team that you had beaten twice before in the season. So I don't know that you could have drawn up a better bracket. I think there was maybe some thought that going to A&M might have been a better draw. But guess what? Texas State that beat you, they went down there as basically the number 2 seed and did not win a game against A&M. They got to the region final, but didn't get past that. So I think this was the best region, the best bracket for Baylor to be in. And man, this is incredible, Justin, for them to be playing in a super regional. And like you said, one of the final 16 teams left in the country playing Division I softball.
Yeah, just one of 2 teams that went on the road and won a regional this weekend. Us and then the Arizona Wildcats will be joining the Big 12 next season. Everybody else, it was chalk. And so the home team, won out there. And so, I mean, these teams, a lot of SEC teams, but all seeded teams besides Baylor and Arizona, and they got a chance. And once again, this just tells you, we've talked about this many, many times. It doesn't pay to be great at the beginning of the season. You got to be at your best at the end of the season. Think about the NBA playoffs that are going on right now, the NHL playoffs. Teams that are at their best at the end of the year make runs, and that's what Baylor's doing. And yes, got a favorable bracket, as you said, Jerry, but there's been seasons we've had an unfavorable bracket. And so that's just the luck of the Irish, if you will, in these tournaments. Sometimes you're going to get lucky. Sometimes you're not going to get so lucky. I think men's basketball a few years ago when they saw North Carolina in the second round, that was unlucky. So you're just a situation, you deal with the card that's dealt, and you go at it, and that's exactly what Baylor did. But, just incredible for them. You get kind of your doors blown off here, 13-0, and you come and win 4-3 in game 2, and now you're moving on to Florida, and you mentioned the SEC. So here it is, the Big 12 versus the SEC, a chance for us to really make a statement. Florida, they're the number 4 seed. We'll have plenty of time this week to talk about them, but wanted to get your early thoughts. This is a team that's won their last 11 games, Jerry. They're super hot. They're the SEC tournament champs. They played a very, very tough schedule. But Baylor, over the years, they've seen the SEC. They've seen this in softball, and so they'll have an opportunity, but it's going to be another challenge ahead of them in Gainesville this next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned they've seen the SEC in 2 of their 4 trips to the College World Series. They went through Georgia on the road, so they've been there. And then the other time, one of the other times that they went, they had to face the number 2 seeded Arizona team at their place. But yeah, as far as the SEC, Baylor's been there, done that. Got a T-shirt and everything. Made it to the World Series. So. It's not something they haven't done before. Florida is the number 4 seed overall, and like you said, they're that for a reason, because they won the SEC tournament, and if you look at what they did in that region, they weren't really even pushed. So yeah, they were just dominant, like they were in most. They finished second in the SEC behind Tennessee, but then won the SEC tournament, beating Missouri in the final. So this is a really good Florida team. I think they rely a lot on their pitching, not as much on the offensive side, but they definitely scored some runs in that regional. So should be an interesting matchup. But, Baylor, I'm not going to say they're just happy to be there, because they want to win this. They want to get through there and get to the World Series, make their 5th all-time Women's College World Series. How big would that be when, like you said, look back just a month or so earlier and people were down on this team, season's over, let's look to next year, and now here we are 2 wins away from the Women's College World Series.
And it's in front of them. I mean, you think about Tennessee, that first game of the season opener back on February 9th, that was a nail-biter. You know how good Tennessee is. We play with teams like Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas. So Baylor will not be afraid. They've been going up against top 5 competition the entire season. It's just time now to put it together. You just got to win. It's best of 3. It starts on Friday, and you're going on the road to Florida. So really looking forward to that. But, okay, so this is interesting, Jerry. Last week, we talked a lot about gators and crocodiles, which, by the way, I did some research. So it's really all about the gators in the U.S. The crocodiles, I think I was watching too much Crocodile Dundee, the good movie back in the day, but a lot of gators. So thankfully for you, you look like you have all your limbs. It looks like if you made it on that bridge, you didn't go off in the swampland. But if you didn't have a chance to play with the Gators last weekend, you'll have a chance to play with them next weekend in Gainesville, which I know they got plenty of gators in those swamps.
And I was going to say, we may see actually some of the live gators there. I mean, they don't mess around in Florida. That's true swampland there. And I'll stay away from those areas. The plain gators, the Florida gators, that's good enough for me. I don't need to see any of the, ones that will actually eat you. I don't need to see those type of gators.
Yeah. Hey, we don't want you to get injured out there, but don't go in their habitat. But yeah, it's one of those situations that it's interesting. Louisiana to Florida, staying in the South, warm weather. So we're looking forward to that. But did you make it across the bridge? Did you try to go across this bridge? I know a lot of the listeners would be disappointed if you didn't.
There's going to be some disappointed listeners then. We did go across a bridge, a very cool bridge. I believe it was in Lake Charles. Enjoyed that one. You got to look out and see the big body of water there. And it's definitely not an 18-mile bridge, but I would say maybe a mile or 2. And it was pretty cool. Over the water, obviously. But no, did not make the trek to the 18-mile bridge. That's a little too much for me, Justin. Maybe when you and I get there, when we're vacationing together, like we will do, someday, we'll go on that 18-mile bridge together.
Well, and when we get on there, we know it's going to be raining. And once again, I just want to get over to the other side as quick as possible. Okay. And so, yes, I'm going to gas it. I'm going to gun it. And I realize that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense, but that's just my mindset. But hey, at least I wasn't making it up. There legitimately is that bridge. It does exist, and it's not a place you want to go across.
What did we say? Atchafalaya? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'm staying on the sidelines on this one. I have no clue how to say that.
I believe that's right. Atchafalaya Bridge, 18 miles, and it's between Baton Rouge and Lafayette.
Yeah, it's more like I don't want to see it type bridge. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
yeah, if you make the drive from Waco to Gainesville, which I would not recommend, I'm hoping you're flying with the team. But if you made that drive, there would be another opportunity for you to hit that bridge. But hey, nonetheless, Jerry, really just to bring it all to a close, really impressive weekend for Baylor softball. Just great for Baylor athletics. We saw a bunch of coaches, on X, congratulating Coach Moore and his team, and just really a great way to kind of cap off this month of May for this team to go on to the Super Regionals.
Yeah, it's incredible, and that shows you a little bit of that Baylor family when you have various coaches. I'm sure Mitch was one of them that congratulated Glenn because they're good friends. But that's just part of that Baylor family that if somebody has success, they're going to hear about it from the other coaches because that's what Baylor we are. All that stuff that Robert Griffin said, it's true, and that's Baylor family. But yeah, it was a great weekend, Justin, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, that last game, and Dan Ingham said this, who was doing the softball broadcast. He said, if you're just a neutral observer, not for either team, that was a great softball game. Very intense. A lot of great plays and stuff. But yeah, it was a fun weekend, and looking forward to that trip to lovely Gainesville, Florida.
By the way, did you get some Cajun food? Gotta ask.
I absolutely did. Zach introduced me to a couple places there that we had gotten recommendations about. So I did try some little bit of Cajun food. I don't take a lot of risks in that area. I did get some red beans and rice at one of the places. I'm trying to think if I did any other Cajun food, but yeah, I mean, we made a couple of stops, and it was good food. Let's put it that way. All the food this week, we didn't get any bad recommendations. It was all good food. So it was a fun weekend on that end as well.
I'll do a hot take. I still think Texas food's better. Okay, the brisket, I still think Texas got better food. So we'll keep it at that, at least for me. I'm not sure where Jerry lies on that.
Well, so that's funny that you say that, because Sunday before the game, Zach and I went to a place that it's only open a certain time on Sunday, and they really just do kind of a smaller brunch menu. So, but one of the things was just a brisket plate. Now Zach had a little boudin and some what was that, hash? Brisket hash that had an egg on top. So he went a little bit off and he had crab cake at another place and crawfish, and he had never tried a couple of these things. So Zach was the risk taker. I was not. I played it safe. I tried to eat as healthy as I could. But yeah, so we had this brisket at this place before the game Sunday, and the brisket was actually pretty good, but it's not Texas barbecue, and you're right on that end.
Dang straight. I was about to kick you off the podcast if you said it was better. By the way, some of those foods that you rattled off, for me in Michigan, we hear those foods and we run away from that. Okay, it's chicken wings, it's pizza, it's hamburgers and hot dogs. That's what we're thinking about up there. I don't know exactly what you said, but yeah, I'm going to stay away from that. So we're not going to go to the same restaurants if we are in Louisiana.
Zach's from Michigan as well. So like I said, he was taking some risks because that's not really in his comfort zone, not in his wheelhouse, but I'll give him credit. He really tried some of the local Cajun food, and he survived, man.
Good on him. I will not do that the next time I'm in Louisiana. Well, all right. Yeah. Well, that'll do it for today's edition of Inside Baylor Sports, a Sport and Story production. Thanks for listening. For Jerry Hill, I'm Justin Hoff. Have a great Monday, and Sick 'em Bears.
Sick 'em Bears.